Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast presented by Gameday Tailgate Experience. Elevate your tailgate when the Steelers travel to Jacksonville November 18th to take on the Jaguars. For more information, visit steelcityunderground.com/Jaguars tailgate. My name is Joe Kuzma, and today I am joined, well, it's Friday, and that means one thing. It means it's time for Trey's Corner with Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback Trey Johnson. Trey, how's it going?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's a beautiful day.
You say that a lot, but that's because you're down in Florida. It's cold. Yeah. It's gotten cold. We're looking at like 40s this Sunday in Pittsburgh. So speaking of being down in Florida, how's your rehab going?
Rehab is going great. I actually got reevaluated today. My range of motion is pretty much there. I need to get to 180. I'm at 175 right now. So, we just got 5 more degrees to go. So, that's what I'm going to focus on next week, just getting this final 5 degrees down and then working on strengthening after that. And then on top of that, I got to jog for the first time yesterday. So that was pretty exciting for me. I haven't been able to run in any type of form for a while, so it was nice to be able to get back on the treadmill and actually do something. I realized how out of shape I am. You don't run for a few months and you realize you can't even jog for a minute without getting tired.
Yeah, and that's like a shoulder injury, correct?
Yeah, it's a shoulder injury, but when you run, you pull your arm back, and that's what we're trying to do. It's called like your scalp. So I'm trying to keep my scalp from being pushed back. So that's also one of the things that I was trying to learn how to run without forcing my shoulder back so far, because, that has something to do with why I hurt my shoulder, just wear and tear of it.
Yeah, most people don't realize that, but if you ever get out there and you do any kind of running or jogging, folks, if you just pump your arms a little faster, you're going to notice your legs are going to go with it too. It's just if you're like a form runner, and every athlete just like Trey is, there's some truth to it, man. You just go and grab some air and you're going to be sprinting a little bit faster. So it's one of the strangest things when I learned some about just, sprinting and running in general in my own walk of life, is just how important even just the range of motion with like your shoulders and even like the form. It's just, you could just sit there even in a chair and just pump your arms on the side of a chair like a workbench or something, and that's going to help improve your running and your running speed. And I'm sure your arms were pumping pretty fast. So we're always calling you. We're going to have to give you a nickname. By the way, you know what? We didn't ask you this the last time. Do you have a nickname, or are you like the Flash or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. People used to call me Alcatraz, but that was in like high school. Yeah. So some people call me that, but I really don't go by that like in any type of way. Trey technically is a nickname. My real name isn't Trey.
Well, I figured that much, but yeah. I meant like a different type of nickname. I mean, my name is Joseph, but the only person who calls me that is my mother, so it's just Joe. So kind of in the same regard there. So,
yeah, I wish I had a cool nickname, but no, not yet.
We're gonna have to give you one. I don't know. Flash might be taken. We have a contributor, Zach, who I don't know. I think it's a self-anointed nickname. You can't give yourself a nickname, so we're just we might steal that. Plus, I think you're faster than him too, which might be a challenge, though. I don't know. I really don't know how fast Zach is, but guarantee not as fast as you are. So, anyways, yeah, so, we got a game Sunday. We're gonna talk about here. And of course, I pulled up the Bengals one. That's not the one I wanted. That would be the last game. See, I've been missing football so much, man. I'm stuck in 2 weeks ago. Big day coming up. We were talking about this earlier in the week. Big day. Birthday on Sunday for me. I'm going to be looking forward to it because I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. I'm going to see the Cleveland Browns come in. Tale of kind of 2 seasons here where the Browns, since the tie, have a losing record. They're on the flip side with a 2-4-1 record. The Steelers 3-2-1. That 1 we hope doesn't become a 2 in the rematch here. Steelers looking healthy following this bye week. Nothing major to report other than guys coming back or being at full health, and one of those is Morgan Burnett. And as I understand, you had a chance to you have some opinions on Morgan Burnett, very high opinions, that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Morgan. I call him Mo Money. That's his nickname. But yeah, I love Morgan. He's definitely a veteran guy. You can tell he's a professional. Like anytime he's in the facility, he's locked in. Especially in meetings, he sits up close to the front. He's always asking questions. He's got that real deep voice, so like it kind of demands respect. And he's a big dude, so he's a real physical guy. When he comes down, he brings the pain. So, and then also, with him being a veteran, that brings that mental aspect to the game, like that we were talking about last week. He has seen plays, playing so many years with the Packers that, he can see plays before they happen, and then that's just going to make the defense run a lot smoother because he's out there, calling stuff out.
Of course, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he's utilized. I mean, originally penciled in as a starter, and I think a lot of people, whenever they have any type of critiques of the Steelers' defense, especially early on, you have Terrell Edmunds, first-round draft pick, no less, but a rookie. And I think he's done an admirable job. He is quoted as saying he still is practicing and believes he's the starter. So we might see Burnett maybe even in, let's say, we hear this all the time, dime backer role. Explain basically kind of what this is to anybody who hasn't heard it, because I think everyone just kind of assumes that I guess the way to slow down tight ends in the NFL now is to get somebody that's kind of not quite a corner, not quite maybe a safety or a linebacker. They're kind of a hybrid athlete of all combined.
Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what it is. You want that hybrid person, who has the size of a tight end, but who also has the speed of, a cornerback or somebody else on the perimeter. And that's really just the gist of the dime, kind of how we mentioned last week about how not everybody stays on the field, the whole game. Let's say Cam Hayward has to come out from the D line, and then, if it's Morgan that they're bringing into the dime package, Morgan to run out on the field, he'll cover that extra tight end or that extra receiver, whoever it is, and that's really just the gist of the dime. And the dime and the nickel are really the same thing. It's just that the dime is when you have to bring in two hybrid players, and the nickel is just that one person that first comes off the sideline.
Yeah, and in fact, last year I think the Steelers utilized Will Gay more or less in that spot. So I'm not sure that Burnett was originally penciled in to be that. I mean, he's played all over in the secondary when he was with Green Bay, but that may be his role, or Edmonds, or a number of guys. I know Cam Sutton was working a little bit at safety during the offseason, Mike Hilton. So you've got a number of guys that are capable, at least, and that's because of all these matchups now. You don't want to mismatch against like certain linebackers, and it's not to say that linebackers are slow by any means, but there's definitely, you have an elite guy like Ryan Shazier that's no longer there that maybe have the possibility of covering one of these tight ends. The Browns do have a decent tight end in David Njoku, but he's a little banged up so far this week. We'll have to see how the injury report stacks up, but the Browns do look different overall from week one, when the Steelers tied 21-all in what was a messy game with a lot of turnovers for the Steelers. Turned the ball over 6 times, the Browns turning it over once. And we all know how that ended. We all know how everyone felt. But now it's no longer Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. There's no longer Carlos Hyde at running back. And there's no longer Josh Gordon. The Browns look a little bit different now with Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb. What are your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns? I think personally for me, I don't know, it's a lot of youth. It's a youth movement, but I don't know what to expect, because for me it's hard to judge, because that was kind of a messy game with the weather, and everyone has like those opening. This is the first game off from the preseason, and there's still those jitters. I think at least on the Steelers end, everything's a little bit smoother. I think the Browns still kind of have a feeling out process.
You kind of hit it on the head. The fact that the Browns have a really young team, it just shows like they're inexperienced. Not saying that they're not a good team. I definitely think that the Browns are, not the Browns from last year or years past. They're definitely on the come up, and they have a lot of great personnel. With their receiving core, and Baker Mayfield is a number 1 overall pick. He's not some scrub just out there just trying to sling a ball around. So, we definitely have to come on our A game and everything like that. And I feel like with the switch up between Tyrod Taylor and Carlos Hyde and having versus Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, I feel like Nick Chubb is more so of a versatile back. Carlos Hyde is more so hand the ball off in between the tackles, just kind of get downhill quick. And every once in a while he'll come out the backfield and catch it. But, Nick Chubb kind of does it all. And along with Nick Chubb, they still have Duke Johnson lined up right behind him. So you got to make sure that you kind of dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and kind of cover up every asset of the backfield when you have those two players back there. So you never really know when it comes to Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson. And then, Baker Mayfield, he's inexperienced. So I think that's one thing that we have to try and play on, just keep hitting him with different formations, different disguises so that he doesn't really know what we're in until it's too late. So I think that's something that we know and that we're going to try and do this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, too, with the offensive line. Of course, there was undrafted, was it the left tackle? Or, I believe it was the left tackle, whoever was filling in for Joe Thomas, that was initially starting in week 1. And, of course, Bud Dupree had his way with them. There were 7 total sacks for the Steelers against the Browns, but I kind of see this still going the same way. They've given up 31 sacks in 7 games. It's an average of a little more than 4 per game if you break it down. I think the Steelers will have some success. The starting center for the Browns also did not practice Wednesday. J.C. Tretter is something to keep an eye on with the injury report to see if he's a go, or that could also be a substantial blow on their offensive line. Could be even more problems. I see the Steelers defense putting some pressure on Baker Mayfield, to be honest. And, Tyrod Taylor was known as a mobile quarterback, but he still got hit 7 times in that game. Do you think the Steelers will have the same type of success maybe with Mayfield under center instead of Taylor?
Yeah, I think they will. With the Browns offense, they're more so adapting to becoming a quick offense. They snap the ball in Baker's hand and they're trying to get it out quick, with slants, comebacks, different 3-step routes. But I feel like, Coach Butts understands that, and he's going to bring the pressure and bring it quick, especially knowing that they have an inexperienced O-line. Like you said, they got an undrafted free agent starting over there, and then they got the center who might not even be able to play. So, being able to blitz from different packages and different formations and different looks kind of it messes with the thought process of a quarterback, and that messing with the thought process, it slows it down, and that way the play doesn't happen as fast, which gives the defense more time to get back to the quarterback. And I think that's what's going to happen on Sunday. I feel like we're going to be able to get after the quarterback and make him make some mistakes, get some interceptions, get some tip balls at the line of scrimmage, whatever it is.
I'd like to see some tip passes, maybe some turnovers. We'll be getting to the Browns' defense versus the Steelers' offense in a moment. But before we do, on the offensive side for the Cleveland Browns, I have a name. I'm going to see if you agree with me here. Who's the biggest threat on the Browns' offense, in your opinion?
The biggest threat, I'd probably say Jarvis, because he can line up. He can line up from anywhere. You can even put him in the backfield. You can put him at the X receiver, the wide receiver. You can put him in the slot. He might be able to line up at tight end and run a route. He's just so versatile, and he's really going to catch everything that kind of comes near his area. So, having a threat like that is a complicated thing to kind of go against, because, sometimes you really don't know who to put on him, because the NFL is a matchup league. It's always like, okay, this person versus this person, that person versus that person. It's never really, you play right side, you play left side. So it's he is a matchup threat because of his ability to be able to come from any position on the field and make a play. So that's really something that we have to look out for. But, it's something that can easily be canceled out, by scheme and by formation and having different looks, so that, you're kind of messing with the mindset of the offense.
Yeah, and Josh Gordon no longer there stretching the field. It's going to be interesting. Antonio Callaway is still the other guy. You may actually, fans, remember one of the guys that the Browns picked up recently was former Ravens first-round pick Brashard Perryman, and he's on this roster now too. The name I couldn't think of at left tackle was Desmond Harrison, who is still in that position, but maybe settles in a little bit better. It's not his first start ever, in the NFL. So first game ever in the NFL too. He didn't even get a chance to be like a backup or be mentored by anyone. So I think that'll be a key matchup. Jarvis Landry, of course. I think Jarvis Landry could still get his, and you know, the Steelers still take care of business because, I mean, it's not, you know, I always say everybody's a pro football player here. Everyone's getting paid, you know, to do this job. They're the best of the best. So it's just one of those things where which weapon are you going to allow to beat you? And I think, you know, if you kind of like slide it towards like, okay, we're going to stop the run, I don't think they have to put all of the resources on Jarvis Landry. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up because I know a lot of fans out there are thinking your specialty is the secondary. Oh, and we got something to talk about with that too. I almost forgot. But it's like, I don't know if Joe Hayden necessarily is going to shadow Jarvis Landry all over the field because if he lines up in the slot, I mean, I don't see them having any problem with, say, Mike Hilton or more than likely Mike Hilton, but Cam Sutton sometimes kind of flirts in that position too, covering the slot receiver.
Yeah, I don't really see them doing anything like that because usually when you do something like that, it'll be like with a bigger physical receiver because you don't want to end up, you know, sometimes when somebody's in the nickel or a slot defender, they're usually a little bit smaller. So, you know, you have that fear of a big receiver, like, I don't know, somebody like a Julio lining up and then, you know, they're going against somebody who's just physically not as tall as them. And then now they get a jump ball and they're at a disadvantage. So that's something that, you know, you really don't have to worry about with Jarvis Landry. I think with Jarvis, everybody just has to be on the same page, not really like trying to follow him or shadow him around. As long as everybody's on the same page, you know, if we're in a zone, just make sure you communicate, you know, that he's passing through your zone and that he's coming up to another zone, you know, or, you know, if you're the safety, you know, like SD, you got to take a mental note every single play. Like, okay, Jarvis is on this side of the field. Jarvis is right here. Jarvis is over there. Just kind of let everybody know where he is and then shade to that side or shade over where you need to be at so that you can stop him from making that big play. You know, it's just kind of recognizing the big play before it happens and then stopping it.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. In fact, you know, some people may have gotten used to seeing Joe Hayden do that over the last two previous games because it was Julio Jones and then another very large, you know, freak of nature, I guess, monster is AJ Green. He's also a very big guy too. So people don't realize how big he is. He's really long too. He's got really long arms. Yeah, he's like James Washington but taller.
Yeah.
So just as a reminder, the Steel City Underground podcast is presented by Gameday Tailgate Experience. I've been trying to tell everyone to leave the grills and tables at home if you're traveling down to Jacksonville, Florida on November 18th to watch Sunday Night Football as the Steelers travel to take on the Jaguars. Big rematch from last year's playoff game. 5-hour tailgate party begins at 3:30, and it will include unlimited food and a 5-hour open bar. There's TVs, there's games, live music, and entertainment, and it is also a family-friendly environment. If you're interested in checking that out, you could save 20% off of your tickets when you check out using the promo code SteelCity. For links and more information, visit steelcityunderground.com/Jaguars tailgate. Now, defense was the topic earlier this week. The entire thing was squashed, though. A lot of people were thinking the Steelers might go out and try and acquire Arizona Cardinals corner Patrick Peterson. He went out on social media, released a statement saying, no, he's happy with the Cardinals. I see the vision for the future, et cetera, because he met with ownership and whatever ended up happening, that rumor got leaked that he wanted to be traded. He wasn't happy in the desert, whatever be the case. We know that he's an elite corner. And we also know he's not going anywhere. But that didn't stop a lot of people from saying, oh, the Steelers need this elite corner. They need this. They need that. You know what I mean? It's like everybody wants an all-star team. I know you got some opinions about Patrick Peterson. Of course, I mean, anytime a team could add an asset that can help you win, it's always a positive. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think the Steelers are necessarily in a bad situation at corner. There's going to be some chuckles there. I know that's your specialty too. We don't want to see you bumped off the roster or have more of an uphill battle because they add somebody like P2. He's not going anywhere. But, you know, how important is the cornerback play like in today's NFL? It's almost like, you know, you got to get your franchise quarterback. That's the most important position on the team or else the ball doesn't move anywhere. But it's almost like some of these teams like like the Rams, for example, you know, they go out and get Talib and they get Marcus Peters you know where I'm going with that. I mean, just how many elite corners does the team need? I don't think there's enough to go around, just like the quarterbacks. And I think people are kind of living in a fantasy land with just the pass-happy NFL and teams that are scoring a lot of points. I don't know that there's necessarily a way to just shut everybody down and defend against all that.
I think the reason why people want that is because they realize how difficult it is to kind of play cornerback. It's really difficult to backpedal as fast as somebody is running full speed, and to really read everything so quickly and make these quick movements and quick adjustments. So, when somebody's really elite at it, it's noticed and you can get a really big paycheck off of it, So Patrick Peterson, I definitely think that he is one of the best corners in the league. At one time he was the best corner in the league, So it definitely would have been, definitely would have been a positive to bring him onto the Steelers, But on the flip side of that, I'm definitely happy that he's not going to be there, because that would make it a real difficult battle for me. But, Patrick Peterson is still a great cornerback. And, having the idea of this all-star team, kind of, I guess you could say how the Rams have, with having Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters and really that whole entire secondary with LaMarcus Joyner too. They got a whole lot of studs out there, so it makes it a lot easier, to kind of go up against a team and know that, okay, we really don't have to worry about the pass as much because we could just line up man-to-man and just blitz the quarterback, because we know that these two cornerbacks on each side of the field is going to lock down whatever receiver it is in the league and just kind of make it an easy day for us, So as a defensive coordinator, to be able to have that ability to just say, all right, we're just going to let the dogs loose and y'all, you two corners, you stay on your side of the field, make sure nobody catches the ball over there, and we're just going to keep blitzing. We're going to stop the run. That makes the defense really unstoppable, and that makes it pretty much a championship team defense, So it's something that's definitely not only hard to come by because, an elite cornerback, an elite shutdown cornerback is something that's hard to come by. So, you just got to, when you find them, you just kind of try and keep them and just, have them pour into somebody else and just kind of learn more and more about it.
I often said, you said this too, you mentioned paycheck. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people, they're like, why don't the Steelers go out there and make moves like this? And it's like, well, hold on. They retain their own guys, okay? Like the Rams, okay, they drafted Gurley, they paid Gurley, but they went out and got Cooks, they went out and got Sue, they had to pay Aaron Donald, of course, best at his position maybe. They went out and got like Marcus Peters or Aqib Talib and guys like this because, you know what, they hadn't been successful for years. They had a lot of cap money. Some of that was kicked forward that they didn't spend in previous years. They didn't retain any of their homegrown guys. Another big factor of that is that Jared Goff is a quarterback still on a rookie contract. As soon as that ends, I said that the same way as I said it with the Seattle Seahawks, I'll say it with the LA Rams here. When they have to pay Goff, and you see what guys like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, these guys got paid a ridiculous amount of money during the offseason.
All guaranteed.
Oh, my goodness. When they have to pay Goff, they're not going to be able to afford anybody else. They're going to have to cut some of these guys, whereas the Steelers, they retain a lot of their own homegrown talent, build through the draft, maybe find guys like yourself that are undrafted, quite a few undrafted players and success stories in Pittsburgh, by the way. And it's like, they've been successful with it. They haven't had a losing season since 02, 03. So, I know that some people don't like it because they think, oh, we got to add all these all-star players, but that doesn't always work either. So, I think
there's so much that has to go into a successful team. You can't just put all-star names together and expect them to get along. A lot of times they butt heads because, when you have this one lion type personality versus another lion, there can't be two kings of the jungle. Somebody's going to butt heads and somebody's going to end up fighting. So, you definitely have to try and not only fit together football wise, chemistry wise, but also, as a personality, if there's commotion and beef in the locker room, it's not going to work on the field at all. So you need, everybody, whether it's the humble guy, or somebody who's not really getting paid as much, whatever it is, whatever that person is for that person's reason for being that type of person that they are, you need that person so that they can kind of balance out the chemistry both on and off the field. You can't just put teams together and be like, oh, this is going to work great because, this guy's a shutdown corner and that guy's a shutdown corner. They have to get along and they have to be able to communicate with each other and make great decisions, together, but without even talking about it, just kind of be on the same page.
Yeah, I agree with you there totally, and you see that kind of happen with anything. I mean, even with the Steelers, I mean, even with the best intentions, Mike Mitchell, he goes over to the Colts and he's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He wasn't even with the team like a month ago, so you just never know what's going to be the right or the proper fit to help a certain individual excel. And hopefully, in some cases, these players even get an opportunity because it's such a short shelf life with the NFL. Not everyone gets to play forever, especially football. I mean, major league pitchers, some of these guys are there for a decade or two. It all depends on the positions they play too. But eventually, it all runs out. I was going to ask you about the Browns defense. Ben Roethlisberger has a lot of respect for them. He says that it's not only do they say it's one of the best units they'll face, it may be the best unit they face all year, although kind of tongue-in-cheek there. It's kind of hard to look at that way because the Browns are kind of squandering or kind of floundering as far as their defense. Now, their points against only 25.3, just a shade lower than what the Steelers are giving up, but they're ranking somewhere, I think, 26th and 28th with pass and versus the run. How do you see the Steelers attacking maybe the Browns defense this weekend? I think it's going to be a nice, healthy dose of James Conner.
Yeah, I definitely think that, we need to feed the ball to James Conner. The entire offense kind of thrives off of the success of the running game. If you're able to run the ball, you can easily just start running play action. Now receivers like AB and Juju are wide open down the field, so just kind of the idea of a run first offense is really something that the Steelers has always been, because you just get behind those big 5'0" linemen, which we do have 5 very big and very solid and very great, all pro linemen. So you just kind of line them up and just get them to move the line of scrimmage down the field, gradually take away those chunks of yards. And, as a defensive player, when you're going against an offense that, you keep getting them to third down, but it's like 3rd down and 3 or 3rd down and 2, and then they run it again and it's another 1st down, it's kind of demoralizing just to kind of have that happen to you over and over. So, if we're able to go out and do that, just run the ball down their throat, give the ball to James, kind of switch it up, maybe even give it to Ridley, whoever it is, and just, then hit that play action and get a deep play down the field. That's perfect. That's the perfect storm.
Yeah, myself and Brian, we're always talking about in order to run play action, you actually have to run the football. So,
yeah. I mean, you can't fake the run and expect the linebackers to freeze if you haven't been running the ball at all.
Yeah, we're going to fake it 10 out of 10 times. So, I mean, the whole RPO thing, none of that works at all. Just over the last few games, though, Ben Roethlisberger has been clean. Nobody is even touching him. So I think one of the keys to this game is the same exact thing. I mean, Ben's been sacked once in the last 3 games. That's including the Baltimore Ravens, Atlanta Falcons, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who all have some great pass rushers, too. That's some credit and kudos to the Steelers' offensive line. They're going to have to face the Browns once more, who dropped Ben. I'm looking it up 4 times in week 1. Again, could be due to the sloppy weather, some sloppy play. Myles Garrett, you think he's the guy to watch for on the Browns defense? Because for me, I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything else that stands out right now, and they're a little kind of banged up in the secondary too.
Yeah, I definitely think that Myles Garrett is real deal. He's a freak of nature. Just to kind of see somebody that large move that quick and with that much agility and finesse, it's kind of weird and scary looking. But I don't think it's not something that we can't handle. I definitely, like you just said, kudos to the offensive line, man. Those guys are some beasts. It's funny kind of seeing them now and the success that they're having. I can tell it goes back all the way to OTAs and rookie minicamp. Because when we used to go eat and everything, those 5 guys, really more than 5 of them, the whole entire O-line would always eat together. They'll always move together. It was like whenever you saw one of them, you would see all of them. So just kind of having that chemistry and that togetherness, I think that brought the O-line a long way. And that it's definitely paying dividends now. And it's something that we see in their play. So I'm looking forward to seeing it again on Sunday and kind of seeing the matchup between Myles Garrett and them. Because Myles Garrett isn't just some scrub. They're definitely going to have to be on their A game, but I think they can handle it. I know they can handle it.
I love the word scrub. I usually say bum, but I almost feel like it could be derogatory in some ways. I have a few predictions for the game that are up on the website already. I have the Steelers offense going for over 400 yards. They've only failed to gain 350 or better once this season, and that was against Baltimore, which was just, bad execution in the second half. I think 30-plus points is fair. I think a victory is fair. I already talked about getting after Baker Mayfield. We talked about Connor. I like Connor for 150 from scrimmage here because I think if the Steelers get a lead, they're going to play some possession. They're going to choose some clock. But my big one is, I say, one of my big keys is the Steelers don't turn over the football whatsoever in this game. Ben's going to be clean. I think that's going to be cool. What's your prediction here? There's only one way to go. A lot of people accuse us of being homers, but we got a true homer here because this guy is part of the team, So
yeah,
you can't go against your boys, right?
Yeah, I absolutely 110% believe that the Steelers will come out with a win. I really don't have a score for you. I think we are going to put up more than 30. I really agree with everything that you're saying. I think that I see some turnovers on the defense, though. I think we're going to get to Baker Mayfield, get a few interceptions, maybe a forced fumble. I think I see Bud Dupree or Chick or TJ Watt causing a sack fumble coming off the edge, and we getting a fumble recovery off of that. So I think we should look forward to a nice little fumble recovery and a pickup. And yeah, really everything else I agree with. Got James Conner. I think he's going to have a really big game going against their defensive line and having that big O-line running. I just like the Steelers, man, all the way, especially with this game. I feel like the first game was somewhat not a fluke, but somewhat of a fluke, just because it was the first game jitters. Everybody was on the Browns high, and I feel like everybody on the team is kind of feeling that way. So we're going out with something to prove, So we're going to go out there and prove that the first game shouldn't have went the way that it did, and that we are better than them.
Yeah, I feel the general vibe is going to be throwback jerseys. Heinz Field, got to get the home advantage going again. You've been on a bye. You got exactly the chip on their shoulder from week one. You don't like making any excuses, but, they let the Browns back into it after a 14-point lead, nearly blew it, ended up with a tie, which helps no one. I think the Browns are looking at this like, we only tied these guys. If you get in a certain position there, you could have some momentum. You could almost kind of demoralize them because, you know what, they didn't win the game either, and they haven't won any of these games they've gone to overtime in. They've gone in overtime 4 times. They've lost 3 of them, tied once with the Steelers, which is absolutely just crazy. So, they're an improved team, but I think this could be a statement game. The Chargers put up a lot of points on the Browns just 2 weeks ago, and this game's going to be on the road.
I saw a crazy stat about them, too, about their overtimes. Like every other team has played, I think it's 5 or 6 games now, but the Browns have technically played like 9 because of how many times they've gone into overtime with the amount of minutes and everything like that. So, that type of stuff takes a toll on your body. People don't really recognize that, but that's what 30 extra plays. That's 30 extra hits. That your body's taking and a chance of injury or a chance of kind of messing something up. So that's also something to take into account.
Yeah, that's a great point because, 30 plays, that could be like a half, like in a regular game, and they've done that 4 times. I'm going to say they're all 30, but even if it's like 15 or 20, no bye week yet for the Browns, and this is their second straight game on the road. All indicators pointing at the Steelers, who are an 8-point favorite, by the way. So I see them handling business at Heinz Field. Trey Johnson, Steelers cornerback. Hey, thanks for joining us once again today.
Hey man, no problem. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I love doing this thing, man. It's starting to become a ritual, and I'm really liking it. I'm looking forward to next week and seeing what we have on the template for the world to hear next week.
Yeah, well, don't jump too far ahead because if everyone's going to love you if it's a win. They're going to be saying, Trey, what are you talking about if it's a loss? So you got to take the good with the bad, man. But it's good so far. We didn't have anything bad happen. It was just the bye week. And in fact, jumped from 3rd place to 1st place during the bye week. So
yeah, see, that's a really good bye week, man.
Yeah, didn't even have to do anything. Just let everybody else do it for you. So thanks once again. You could follow Trey, Alcatraz Island, I think on both of yours, right?
Yeah, I use that on everything. That's even, when I'm playing video games, that's my gamer tag.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's been my thing since high school, so I've always kind of used it for everything.
Yeah, you're going to have to find him. He's playing some Fortnite over there for those of you. There's a couple of our guys are going to be looking you up now. So, folks, look for Trey everywhere he is. Go hunt him down on Fortnite. And until next time, my name is Joe Kuzma. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for subscribing. Until next time, be safe, be good, and I'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.